welcome out to the shop tonight. I've had my lathe tools kind of hanging around, just kind of floating from place to place, always getting in the way. I have this section over here in between the studs where I can utilize them and create some kind of system to hold all my lathe tools. So that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to build some kind of little rack in here to hold all my lathe tools, and then they will all have a certain place to go. Now, one thing about this storage area that I'm building is I don't want it just to hold my 8 lathe tools. I want to make it so that I can hold even more if I choose to down the line, have some expansion area. That way I don't have to feel so cramped or have to redesign it. If I build 8 holes, I will only be able to have 8 tools. So I think I'm going to go ahead and build 16 little holding areas for all my lathe tools. Now to start with, I need to make sure of what my width is going to be. If I can remember from the sanding organizer, it's about 14.5 in between. Right here it's 14.25, 14.25, and just over 14.25. It's always important to check multiple spots. One thing I found with this is that the top was a lot looser than the bottom, and I actually had to put it way up high and hammer this down into its spot. So I'll build it right at about 14.25, and that should give me some room to play. First thing I need to do is go ahead and mark out all of my 2x4s that I'll be using so I get the appropriate widths. And to lay out my marks for the lathe tool positions, I'm simply pulling from this one side. I'm making an R on it to stand for the right side, and I'm just going every 2 inches and making a mark. Now this leaves a bigger side over on this corner, but I have to do that just because of the distance of the in between the studs. And the hole that I want to make is going to be 1.5 inches in diameter, so I have to have enough room in between each spot. So each rack will only be able to hold 6 tools, but that still leaves me with more slots than I need. After we've got all the spacing marked out, we got to mark for the actual placement of the holes. Now I want this to sit at an angle so that when the tools are in there, they aren't sitting straight up and down. They're actually sitting kind of tilted forward. That way when you go in and reach them, you don't have to bust your knuckles against the wall or anything like that. So you got to pick a top and a bottom one. So we'll make this the bottom. So now it's got an RB. This one's going to be the top. So I'll put an RT on this one. On the bottom, we're going to set the main line 1.25 inches from the back of the 2x4, and on the front side or the top board we're going to set your line at 1.25 inches from the front of the 2x4, and then we can go back, and these don't have to be exact. You can if you want to, but I'm going to just eyeball up all the dots, get them somewhat close. This should have plenty of room to actually move around when your tools are in here, so having it just close is fine. And then we can go ahead and drill all of the holes. Now for the top, you obviously want to drill all the way through, and for the bottom, I don't have my depth gauge set up, but I'm going to be drilling so that the Forstner bit goes just flush with the top of the 2x4 and the top of the Forstner bit. already gotten one of the tool rests or tool storage trays mounted up, and now I gotta fit this other one in. And what I did for the top one is pretty much just put it in there and then take a tool and just test it to see how the fit was. Now see, this is gonna be too tight. I don't like that. So I'm gonna bring it back out, move it a little bit lower, and then put it back in. And this seems about good because I got room to reach my hand around on all the tools, and it's not going to be hitting the upper one either. So now I'll go ahead and I'm just eyeballing it. This is not fine woodworking, so I'm just going to eyeball that in. And because I'm using the pine, I'm just pre-drilling all my holes. I'm going to put 4 holes, 2 on each side. So we'll go ahead and make sure it's all back. And one thing I do want is to have a uniform gap in between here and the bottom one. So I'm going to take this and measure 3.5 inches from the top to from the top of here to that one. So now I'll just go ahead and take this one. Now remember, we had this bottom one with the holes in the further back. So we'll go ahead and take it, put it back in there. Go ahead and mark it where it needs to be. So we'll do 3.5 and 3.5. Now I can put it in there, hold it, and drill my holes. Alright, well there we got it. It's up. It was a very simple project. It holds all my lathe tools now, and I don't have to worry about them getting knocked around on the ground. They have enough space in between each one that they don't hit. If something falls off, it's still further behind than the sanding thing, than the sanding organizer, so I don't have to worry about it taking anything out. I really like having the offset holes so that they do lean out some. If I want to grab this tool right here, I can get it out, put it back under here. I don't have to worry about my knuckles or anything hitting the back wall because everything is right here leaning forward. And also, I don't have to worry about any real debris getting in here because the holes on the bottom are so shallow that I don't have to worry about that. So that would make for an easy cleanup if anything did get on here. And because of my spacing on this section, I actually have room for one more right here on the bottom. Thanks for joining me today, guys, on this really simple build and it helps organize your tools. I think that is one main thing of any workshop, is always trying to stay organized. So now I can actually take that box where all the lathe tools were staying, I can actually get rid of that. I've also used up some of that voided space over there in the corner, so now it looks a little bit neater as well. If you guys enjoyed the video, go ahead, hit that thumbs up button. If you guys are new, welcome, and please subscribe to my channel for more woodworking. If you guys would like to help support the channel and see it grow even more, you guys can consider going over to patreon.com and making a donation, becoming a patron. There are all sorts of different things that you guys would get out of that, including a bottle opener made from a railroad spike. So thanks for joining me, guys, and like always, I will see you guys on the next video.